Well, David Tafuri is an international lawyer at Dentons. He's in our Washington bureau. David, thanks so much for joining us here on BBC News. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's pretty shocking, isn't it, to have to subpoena a Secretary of State for documents?
Well, it is. I mean, that's what Congress does as part of its oversight, though. I mean, it requests them, and if it doesn't think it's going to get them, then it has to issue a subpoena. So they were anticipating that the State Department was going to give them trouble. They've issued a subpoena. The question now is, will the Trump administration, will Secretary Pompeo and the State Department comply with that subpoena? There have been many recent instances where the Trump administration has refused to comply with subpoenas and has left Congress trying to figure out how to enforce those subpoenas.
So what does that mean then? If they don't provide those documents, what happens next?
Well, then the Congress can try to take an action to court to try to hold the administration in contempt. This hasn't happened many times, so it's not exactly clear how the process works and what the ability of the judge is to enforce a contempt order against the administration. Hopefully we're not going to end up there, and Secretary Pompeo and the State Department will comply with the subpoena. I think they would be wise to do so.
And now, where does this leave us in terms of what we know about the Ukraine and that phone call, and what the president's involvement was?
Well, we have a rough transcript of the phone call, and as in your previous segment, they said it was described accurately by the whistleblower. We now have the whole whistleblower complaint has been released publicly, and you can read all of the things that the whistleblower was reporting. Some of those are things that he observed. Most of them are things that he learned from others in the administration. It reports a number of concerning facts about how the president interacted with the president of Ukraine, and we're also learning some concerning facts about how the president was dealing with other leaders, including leaders of Russia. There's now some reporting related to the president's meeting with the foreign minister of Russia in 2017. Apparently, according to the Washington Post, the president told the foreign minister of Russia that he shouldn't be concerned about the election interference by Russia, and said something to the effect of, "We do that all the time too," which is also a stunning fact, if true. And all of this has sort of been brought up by this whistleblower complaint, which alleges to suggest that there were many in the administration who were entirely concerned about how the president was interacting with foreign governments, and that he was doing a number of different things that were jeopardizing our national security here in the U.S.
And David, the committee's also ordered some of Mr. Pompeo's staff to give evidence, one of whom is Kurt Volker, the U.S. Special Representative to Ukraine. And he's now reportedly resigned. What does that mean in terms of him giving evidence in the future?
Well, it would be a little bit easier for him to give testimony and evidence if he's no longer part of the government. He wouldn't have to get permission from the government, for instance, to give testimony. We don't know if that's the reason why he resigned, and I don't want to speculate about that, but it is at least possible that he resigned in order to free himself from the yoke of the administration so that he could testify accurately about what he observed. He is a central figure in the whistleblower complaint. He was acting as the envoy between the U.S. and Ukraine. He met with the president of Ukraine reportedly, and he had to talk to the president of Ukraine after that phone call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine and try to explain what President Trump was asking for and help the president of Ukraine try and deal with that. So that will be really fascinating testimony if he does, in fact, give it.
Okay, David Tafuri, thank you so much for talking to us on BBC News.